What's up, everybody? We are going over the new UI inside of the Forger app. I got a time lapse up here on the video for you guys so you guys can see something that I made using the new UI and to give you guys my opinion on what I thought about sculpting with it. I can tell you it is a big difference. It did make things a lot easier in the Forger app, but there are definitely some cons that I still have my opinions on for the Forger app. So let's get into it. First off, let's start off with the pros. There is definitely better performance. The developer posted on his Instagram that the new performance updates would give us about a 2 times boost in like geometry count that we can get in there, and better responsiveness. And there definitely is. It feels smoother. It feels more responsive. And I went from pushing maybe for like 3.5 to 4 million faces max in my old sculpts before to now hitting about 8 million. So that's definitely a 2 times jump on there. And I think the new UI look is something similar to what you're going to see in Nomad Sculpt. There still is some key differences between the two, but I think from the hype that Nomad Sculpt is getting, I feel that the Forger app developer kind of felt the heat and heard and listened to a lot of the critiques that some comparison videos or other people that are using them on social media, their opinions on the new program being Nomad. Definitely feels and looks closer to what Nomad is compared to what Forger app used to be. And I will say that is definitely not a bad thing. I think Nomad Sculpt has a great UI for a sculpting app. And I can see that Forger is still trying to keep its key functionality for those who like it and for what it's done before. But for me, there are definitely some cons that come with that. But before I get to that, let's talk about one more other pro that I like. It does seem, on top of the added benefit with geometry, the performance also is a lot better with battery life. And that is due to the fact that the iPad does not heat up as fast as it used to. When I used to sculpt in Forger, it would take like 15 minutes and my hand would feel, I wouldn't say hot, but very warm. And that would definitely kill battery life over time. Now I was sculpting, I think when I initially did this sculpt, I was doing it for about 2 hours. And after about that time, that's when my hands started getting noticeably warmer. Battery life is definitely doing better, but yeah, better performance, better UI for the most part, and it doesn't get as hot as fast. As far as my cons on this though, while everything has been upgraded, there's still a lot of shortcomings to it in my opinion. The double tapping to lock certain functions, it doesn't always register, and that's just something that's always bothered me with the Forger app, is that I have to double tap to lock a function that I want to do, where in Nomad it's a single click. And I would say if it was responsive and it worked every single time, cool, I wouldn't bother with it, but it doesn't, and it breaks my immersion or my flow while I'm sculpting, and that's an annoyance towards me. Turning Symmetry on, that's another bother that I have with the new UI. Before, you used to just click Symmetry and it would turn on, and if you wanted to get into the menu, you would have to hold down your finger or your Apple Pencil to open up that menu. I think that can still work in the new UI, but it's kind of annoying that you have to not only click on the menu button and then turn on another switch to turn on Symmetry. Again, just like the double tap, it breaks flow, it breaks sculpting immersion, and it's an annoyance to me. But on top of that, my biggest con is, even though we do have more geometry that we can use in here, it's still not close enough to what Nomad Sculpt can do. In a minute, you're going to see me export out what I did in the Forger app to go into Nomad Sculpt to finish off, or at least get a majority of what I wanted done on the tablet. And that's a big hindrance of why I like, or I enjoy Nomad Sculpt more, is instead of using Forger as a starting point and then submitting it to my desktop or laptop or whatever you guys are using, I can do a majority of what I need to get probably like 90% of my work done on the tablet. And that's what I want these apps to become, and I'm hoping they do become that, because they're showing how powerful they can be. So in my opinion, I'm going to be using Nomad Sculpt still as my predominant sculpting app for mobile application or for mobile sculpting. And that's because, as I've already stated, performance, the geometry that I'm able to push inside Nomad Sculpt compared to Forge Wrap is far more closer to what my end result would be. I mean, I haven't hit a geometry limit yet in Nomad Sculpt, and I've done it multiple times in Forger. Like I said, I topped out at about 8 million faces in Forger app. In Nomad Sculpt, I'm still 11 million plus, and I haven't had any warnings or any issues or any slowdown at all using it. So that's one key feature on why I'm still going to be using Nomad Sculpt predominantly for my mobile sculpting. A better one, or another example is shortcut keys. My one-handed workflow, because sometimes I'm walking around with my tablet and I'm trying to do things around the house, or dealing with my daughters, or doing things here and there, or moving consistently. I don't have two hands to be functionally working in a sculpting app. Most of the time I have one hand to be sculpting with. And so, just tapping on an icon that I need to use for something works better in Nomad Sculpt. I don't have to double tap or try to register something that isn't registering. It doesn't break my immersion. I just hit it and I go. Another thing is that I prefer the way the viewport looks in Nomad Sculpt. I know this is something that's small, but it's, for me, if I'm going to be staring at the screen for hours, I want to look at a viewport that's going to look nice, that's going to be easy on the eyes, and I feel like Nomad Sculpt is a little bit better for me. But other than that, I mean, the biggest thing on why I'm still using Nomad Sculpt is since the first comparison video, which was a few months ago, the developer for Nomad has either caught up to the functionalities of what Forger app had, to possibly surpassing it, in my opinion, in certain areas. And I think Forger app is still a good viable option, but Nomad gives you just more control and more to look forward to when using it. I think for those who love Forger, it's still a good option. I think if you guys are going to stick with it, stick with it. But for me personally, I'm going to be sticking with Nomad Sculpt. The new UI is a great direction for the Forger developer, but there is still some shortcomings that I see stopping me from using it. All right, everybody, but that's pretty much it. Like I said, that's my opinion on the new UI. If you guys have any comments, questions, or any ideas for other videos, or just want to discuss what my thoughts on this, please leave them in the comments below. If you guys are interested in the 3D sculpt that I have up on the video for the time lapse, I did take it a little bit further. If you saw on my Instagram or on my YouTube community post, I'm going to be having it up on my website store for purchase. So please check that out. I'll have the link in the description below directly to my website store. I also have some of my past 3D sculpts that I have put up in there for 3D printing. So if you guys want any of those, go check that out. Wherever you guys are at, whenever you guys are at, I hope you are having a wonderful day, wonderful night, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.